Hey everybody, before I get straight into it, I just want to say that I just started playing this game called Don't Stop Girlypop. It's developed by Funny Fintan Studios. It's very pink, Y2K Ultra Femme, arena style shooter type of thing. This is not sponsored in any way. I just thought this would be a great game to introduce this style of video to my channel. I'm just experimenting and trying something new. Anyway, my gameplay is quite sloppy at best and I'm still learning, and at least in a sense of like how some types of shooters may function, especially when playing with the mouse and keyboard. I like it so far though. I think that like there are some improvements that could be made here and there, but like just technical stuff really. Like it's a good game and I'm looking forward to when the full version comes out. So anyway, I miss these style of videos where like it was just gameplay in the background and there was no AI slop going on. Not that I'm super like ultra anti AI in every aspect of everything, but I feel like sometimes it's overused and it needs to be more regulated. But yeah, like I like these videos where like, you know, people are just like sitting yapping to the mic and just getting raw and real for a second while there's gameplay footage in the background. And I wanted to bring that style of video to my channel. I'm experimenting, trying something new. I don't want to take things too seriously. I just want to like do whatever. And I like sitting and talking to the mic or talking to the camera in other cases, and just, you know, I guess just doing a podcast style thing, whatever. I don't really like calling this a podcast, but you guys know what I mean. I'm pretty sure I've done like a precursor to this topic on my old channel, but I never really went into any deep detail, and I thought that I'd sort of dedicate this video to that since now I'm doing a lot more gaming content. Basically I wanted to talk about how essentially like being into games, and at like there was a point where I could say I was addicted to a game, but basically how it essentially saved my life. So gonna go straight into the trauma dumping here. Growing up, I definitely felt very repressed. I grew up in a religious household, went to a Catholic girls' school. I was very sort of like different in like even in my friendship groups. I was a little bit of an oddball, an odd one out. I was an odd one out in my family. I was an odd one out, like literally pretty much like everywhere. Even to a degree, I'm an odd one out amongst like any cliques or groups or like friendship groups online. But like I'm so accustomed to it now and I see it as a strength as opposed to it being like a flaw or a setback or a drawback to like myself and my life or my personality or whatever. But the online world was kind of like something that mitigated a lot of the trauma and all the things that I was dealing with, which I'm not going to go too deep into detail here because it's just going to be boring and long-winded. But I've mentioned before online that I have had debilitating depression and anxiety. I'm not depressed anymore, thank goodness. And I think part of the reason why I had such terrible depression at a young age was because of like in part of pharmaceuticals that I had been using for years, even before then. And I'll probably talk about that another time. But yeah, like I had like really terrible depression and anxiety, and this definitely helped me a ton. It helped me in terms of like just being able to mitigate the effects of whatever I was going through in my life that felt, I guess, out of my control and felt like it was like bearing down on me. And I just want to say before I should have said this like right at the beginning, but before anybody sees this or sees the title of this video or hears this, I don't want anybody to get upset or feel like I'm over romanticizing or trivializing the effects of what video game addiction can do to people, and you know, have a ripple effect on those around the people who become addicted. Like I just want to say that it's a very like it should be taken seriously, and I wish the best for like everyone who's dealing with it and anyone who's dealing with like family members or friends who may have it like severely and it may be affecting their lives. Like I just want to put that out there. The reason why I want to share my POV is because it could shed a different light on things that could help possibly people in the future to have a more sound understanding and judgment of how these things affect people, like case by case, rather than having, I guess, more like a fear or hatred based approach to the thing as a whole. And again, I understand how and why these things happen. Like, I kind of like, I'm not saying I completely support the boomer mentality when it comes to like video games and stuff, but I understand it, like, especially as an adult. I really, I do understand it, but I also have like I have another POV and another perspective to share. So growing up, I played mostly MMOs, and for those who don't know what that is, an MMO is a massively multiplayer online game. So it's something that like you cannot pause. It's basically like having a little, I don't know, this is not the best way to explain it, but it's like it's like you have a virtual life. You live in a virtual world and you're doing like these tasks and these quests. Some MMOs kind of get boring at endgame, or they get like repetitive and annoying and end up getting stressful, and it's a lot of commitment with time and, unfortunately, in a lot of cases, money, which was the case with the MMO that I played growing up. It's called Allods Online. It is still around today, and I would not encourage people to like go ahead and spend all their time and money on a game like this. Like, me and the friends that I made on there, we are very attached to, obviously, like, our accounts, and we're attached in a sentimental way because we all grew up on there. But honestly, I would say, like, especially if you're a busy person and you have goals and ambitions, like, don't waste your time or money getting sucked into an MMO. It's such a commitment. And then again, like, if you have I guess, like, if you were like me, like I was a teenager and a young adult that was very depressed, that needed an escape, I guess it can be helpful in that aspect of things. Like, essentially, it saved my life. It stopped me from becoming, like, you know, wanting to take myself out, essentially. And like, that is such a sad thing, but at the same time, I'm grateful for all the memories that I made, the people that I met who eventually became IRL friends. I've had a couple boyfriends that I met online in this way, and I've had, generally speaking, like, looking back, I don't regret anything, and I don't feel like it's held me back in life at all. I feel like the areas that I've been held back in life have mainly been because of the other things that I was dealing with throughout, like, growing up. And even then, like, I give myself a lot of grace, and I, like, see a silver lining in literally everything. And then maybe me seeing it in this way is seeing a silver lining in the fact that, hey, I was essentially, like, addicted to a game for a time, and it became unhealthy, especially when I was at my most depressed and I hated my life the most. I didn't want to deal with reality at all. So there was a time, like, it didn't last for too long, but, like, there was a time where it got that bad. And honestly, if I didn't have that game, if I didn't have, like, any games at all, or any sort of, like, online world to, I guess, retreat to, I don't know. I literally don't know what, like, how things could have ended up. Anyway, I'm not gonna get too dark in the retelling of, I guess, this aspect of my life. This is the first time I'm kind of publicly going into detail about it, but definitely, like we definitely had a time, and occasionally we still do log in and we come back and we have, like, what me and my friends like to refer to as reunions, where we jump back online and we, like, catch up and see what's happening and what's new. In many ways, we are surprised that the game is still alive, because it's like, it's extremely pay to win. Like, I first found it by going on Google when I was a kid and searching free games to play, which is so funny because quite a few of my friends found it in the same way. And that was one of the first games that came up, and I thought the splash art looks amazing. This looks like it's, you know, I see there's a lot of material there. This looks like a really fun game, or that it's going to be fun, and I checked it out, and the rest is history. But, like, that game is extremely pay to win. It was pay to win before, and it's still pay to win now. And we spent a lot of time, energy, and I don't think I haven't spent as much money as like a lot of people do on games back then and today. Like, I did a lot of grinding on my own, but I did sometimes buy things here and there. And like, when I look at the past like 10 to 15 years and I add up all those little all those times where like I'd spend a bit here and there, it is still quite a bit of money to spend like on a game. Like, I think about it and I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, yes, it was over like a decade, but like still, I just think about it and I'm like, that's so much to spend on a game. Even though it's nothing compared to like how much people spend on games nowadays, especially games that have like pay to win aspects, or like, you know, you can open boxes for items and stuff, which is essentially gambling, which I think is such an unethical way, like getting people hooked on your game and knowing that they would want to keep up with the top players, they would want to enjoy like the full experience, and having to gamble to be a part of that full experience is just extremely unethical. But I know it's a model that many games use today to keep generating cash and like making like a quick cash grab. All you have to do is drop a box sale, or like, you know what I mean, or like a mini game where you can gamble for like prizes or to try and get rare items. I mostly played Allods probably from the ages of 15 up until like 19, and then afterwards when I left my hometown to go to college or like university, I started playing Guild Wars 2 a little bit, and that's mainly because a couple friends in my class, or classmates, I should say, I knew that they played it and we had planned to play together. It didn't really happen so much. I think we did a couple of times, but I ended up switching to US servers to play with some of my old friends who had moved to that game, and I also met other friends via Guild Wars 2 as well, which was really cool. I still love Guild Wars 2. I haven't played it in a while, to be honest, but I do miss it, and I do like I do want to play it again at some point and like check back and see what's going on. One thing that I really noted about my online life is that I felt like I blossomed socially, and I blossomed in other ways that I didn't, or like I wasn't blossoming at the time IRL. Like, I didn't really find my style properly. I didn't feel like I could really be myself, and I didn't feel safe to express myself, or that I was around people who were like me until I was maybe like 21, 22. And like, whereas like most people when they're teenagers, they do things like they get their first piercings, they have their first like, you know, proper like partners, I guess, and all kinds of other stuff that I just was not doing. And I'm a late bloomer, and that's not a bad thing now. As I've gotten older, I've come to appreciate so much more that I'm a late bloomer. Not that I was really despondent about it before. I just sometimes I would question, like, is there something wrong with me at this point? Like, I could see that I definitely avoided a lot of drama by being a late bloomer, being very introverted and being very to myself, especially like IRL. But like, it got to the point, especially when I got like to 25 and over, I was like, okay, is there something wrong with me? Now I'm just like, you know what? Let's say society said there's something wrong with me because like I'm not doing what everyone else is doing. As long as like a person's not hurting anybody, and as long as like a person is just like being, I guess, a decent human being, then, you know, it's okay if they're like a late bloomer, or if they're a bit like socially, I guess, shy, or if they're just not, you know, they're just not like everybody else in like the aspect of like, you know, wanting to do everything that the mainstream culture dictates is normal for a person in your age group. I just think that a good person is a good person, whether they're a quote unquote normie. I find these terms so like they're so cringe, but I'm just using them for the sake for context, right? Like, whether they're like a normie or whether they're not, like, if they're a good person, they're a good person. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not about to be judging anybody because they haven't done this, or they've never done that, or like whatever the case is. In many ways, I feel very lucky that I've grown up like this as well. It's very unconventional and like unusual, and it's something that like I guess over time it's becoming more normal to see people of my generation and younger who grew up with internet having coming of age experiences like this, like meeting friends online or meeting their partners online, or like, you know, it's becoming more normalized now, whereas before that was like a really out there and really like weird thing. So I guess that's probably one of the reasons why I'm more comfortable talking about things like this now. I guess that like over time I've also just become a lot more proud of myself for handling things the way that I did, and just allowing these things to also inspire me. Like the gaming world has inspired me artistically like so much, even though I don't really post art anymore because of like keeping up with social media while trying to be an artist has literally been absolute hell. Like I spent so many years thinking like, why have I, like, if I have the capabilities to be an artist, then why am I failing so hard when it comes to being an artist on social media? And I've realized that like there's quite a few technical reasons, not even in terms of like technical reasons of like my art not being good enough. I mean like in terms of like not knowing really how to navigate social media from that like perspective, or not having the right support system or knowledge or whatever. I just, you know, also like over time I've realized that I'm glad that it didn't work out that way, because looking at the landscape now, being an artist on social media right now in the age of like AI and stuff like that, I don't think I would have the energy or the motivation to really go up against all that. Like, I don't completely detest or despise AI in itself, and I don't think AI is necessarily going to destroy the world of artists. It changes the landscape of how things are online. Of course, it does, but like, I'm not as worried about it as some people are. And also, I feel relieved that I've sort of kept my art as its own sacred thing for me to enjoy. And don't get me wrong, I love sharing my art with others, and I will sporadically do that still from time to time, but like as of now I'm not trying to have like an art page online. I'm not trying to open like I'm not trying to open a shop or do courses or stuff like that. That's not really what I'm interested in at the moment. So I'm just being 100% real with myself, not selling out on my integrity or anything like that. And also, like, I've noticed that whenever I try to go against my natural flow and, you know, I guess the inner artist within me, I get artist block whenever I try to go against it. So it's like, it's almost as if, like, I don't have a choice but to be true to myself on this journey. So, yeah, I don't know. That's a thing that sorry, I went off on a huge tangent here. We were talking about games and gaming, but the gaming world has inspired me artistically. At one point I wanted to work in a game studio. I wanted to, you know, have a big budget studio on my resume or my CV. I wanted to be able to say, yeah, like I designed this, I designed that, I did this, I did that. But I don't feel like that anymore. And I'm honestly glad that I don't feel like that anymore, because I understand how cutthroat like any creative industry is. Like anything from like being an artist to like modeling to acting to the music industry, like capitalism has its claws in like literally all of it. And the corporate side of things is like super, super ugly at the best of times. And just downright like demoralizing and soul destroying at the worst of times. And I knew that if I was in an environment like that, it would literally destroy my ability to make art. And this is not me trying to say that I'm too weak to handle the corporate sort of like a mainstream entertainment adjacent art world. It's not that. I could probably handle it for a time, but eventually I would just tap out and be like, no, I can't even produce the art that I want to produce anymore. I can't even produce my best work because my soul's just not in it at all. And it's a talent, and I guess not a talent, a skill that can be developed by anybody, to be able to pump out work at a crazy rate and to just constantly have it picked apart and to just keep pumping things out like a machine. Anyone can be trained to do that pretty much, but you're not going to create your best work. And I've kind of like come to terms with that, and like I have like I guess I don't have an over romanticized view of that world anymore. Again, I've gone on a really long tangent. I'm really sorry about that, but it definitely relates to my gaming, and like in a way how it kind of helped me with the escapism thing, like the artwork of it all, and like the I guess the visual richness and the storytelling. That's the word I was trying to get to. I was trying to find my way there. Like, what am I trying to say? It's the storytelling of it all that really helped me along with that, because I have a vivid imagination, and I also like a maladaptive daydream a lot. And again, I don't see it as a weakness. I see it more as a strength than anything. Like, I see the silver lining in all of these things now, and I'm very grateful for them rather than feeling like despondent about them. Like I was mentioning earlier, gaming was definitely a safe space for me to express myself. I found that in the online world, I was popular, whereas IRL, I was basically just like, I wouldn't necessarily, well, yeah, actually, like, let's not sugarcoat it. I was basically a loser. I had terrible skin problems, eating issues. I was awkward. I had friends, but I was just like really weird, and like I struggled a lot socially. I don't know, like I just had all these problems. I just had all these problems. There was a lot going on that I'm not going to go into detail with, but like online, I was popular. People sort of like, I guess, people liked my personality, and I helped to bring the fun side of other people out as well, which is something that that's I think that was one of the things that made me want to stay in that world. Like, just knowing that like I could make somebody laugh, or I could make somebody feel safe enough to let their, I guess, goofy side out. Like, you get even the most serious of players who never made jokes, never laughed with anyone, never really spoke to anyone, and like I could make them laugh or bring out the goofy side of them. That's one of the things that I found really rewarding, and I think maybe that's a part of what made me addicted. Like, the gaming itself was one thing, but like I think specifically online gaming was something that became a space for me to realize that, hey, you're actually quite cool, or like, hey, like you can actually be liked, you are likable, you are enough. And there was a little bit of validation there as well. And that probably sounds narcissistic to some people, but literally coming from a place where it's like you're a nobody, and like you're essentially like, even if people in the outside world would be like, come on, like you're not a nobody, you felt like you were a nobody, and you could feel it from around you that you were basically just like a nerd and a loser, or what we would say in like over here. Like, I'm from London, and in the UK there was this word that we would use called a neek. If you think about it, it's a mixture of like the word nerd and geek. I don't know if that's the origins, but that's basically what it sounds like, and that's basically what it is. That's what it means. Like, you're neeky, you're basically just like cringe, nerdy, loser type. And no matter how much I tried to be normal IRL, it's like the more I tried to be normal, the worse it was. And like that goes down another path of conversation about being neurodivergent, but I won't talk about it this time. I feel like there's enough discourse on that online. I've spoken about it before, and I don't want to drag on that conversation today, so perhaps another time. But anyway, yeah, like I definitely felt I felt safe to be myself, and because I felt safe to be myself, I was able to like the most I guess the best parts of my personality came out. And you know, people often talk about having a personality online that's different from IRL, and I would say that my personality online isn't necessarily like exaggerated or fake. It is me, but it's just a side of me that I guess is more relaxed, more unfiltered, and I suppose is not performing for the circus of society as such, like not in the same way. Anyway, I've been yapping for so long, I think we're gonna like finish it here, but I appreciate you guys for watching and tuning in, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care of yourselves. Bye bye.